Hey, I'm Kid Adams.
And I'm old mate Nate.
And you're listening to The Late Show on IPL Radio. All right, and now we are actually back with The Late Show with Kid Adams, and I just accidentally played you that ad not twice but thrice because it is so nice. But we are back, and we are here with local candidate for the City of Rockingham election, Jason Davies. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks for coming in for a chat. You are one of the many candidates in the local government election. It's been running for a couple of weeks now. Still got a few weeks to go. How are you finding the process so far?
Yeah, good. Very enjoyable.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that you've sort of been immersed with council for a while now. You've been attending council meetings for a while?
I wouldn't say a while. I started attending council meetings back in July when they were announcing the latest round of rate rises. Right. And I decided that when I went to that council meeting, I'd take more interest in the local council, and with that, it fueled my decision to get even more into council, and that's when I decided to make the run for local council.
Yeah, cool. It's interesting. To be honest, I'm only just sort of finding a bit more about it myself, you know, and there's a lot going on. It's better than any show on Netflix at the moment, that's for sure.
Oh, so, yeah, definitely better than anything on Netflix at the moment.
Yeah, I think maybe because it's leading up to an election, there's a lot more drama and stuff at the moment, and a lot more people getting vocal and stuff. What are some of the main topics that you're hearing people get vocal about?
Well, obviously the main issue at the moment that a lot of people are getting vocal about is, of course, the rate rises. People are worried with everything going on, cost of living going up. How are they going to afford to pay for these rates? Where are they going to get this money from? The July council meeting, I heard Hayley Edwards saying, $14, that's nothing. And then Ray Cottam, she spoke up and said, you know, $14 could mean the difference between some kids' lunches. You know, $14 as a man who's lived paycheck to paycheck a very long time ago, thank the gods for that. I know how hard it is for a lot of people to budget themselves accordingly with what's coming into the household. So $14, a lot of people can make that stretch. You know, that's the equivalent of, say, on an average household with 2 kids, that's 3 months worth of sandwiches for their lunches.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, you can put together a family meal for $14 and stuff, and it's not nothing, it's something, you know, when you put it in the perspective of food for your family.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely these little things can have a big impact. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for someone like me who's working full-time, you know, wife's working... She's got herself a casual job, hoping to get a permanent placement where she is. Yep. It's a little bit easier for us to say write off $14, but for someone who's down the lower end of the income on Centrelink and they've got a house they're trying to pay for these rates, it's hard. And the salvos, they said recently in the local rag that there's been an increase in people looking for assistance as well. So that's another thing you've got to consider is...
Just the position of where the average family's at the moment, you know. And I mean, even yourself, you're saying that you work full-time, so you do you can afford that in your budget, but that's not to say that you should. Like, you work hard for that money. No. You know? You were telling me before we came on air that you're doing something like 50 hours a week.
Yeah. I wake up at 5 every morning. I get myself ready. I'm in for work at 5:30 at the moment. I usually start at 6, but I've been trying to get some more overtime in. So, 50 hours a week for me, that's basically a day in my life.
Yeah, so it's a hard-earned dollar, and you definitely don't want people being blasé with the hard-earned money when that's meant to be going towards your family and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, essentially, the last thing I want to be doing is working 50 hours a week just to pay the bills. Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. You know. So, and what are some of the other issues? I've heard something about Fruitgate.
Oh yes. So apparently in accordance with a city wellness program, according to several answers given by the mayor during the council meetings. The city is spending $30,000 approximately per annum on fruit to be provided to some city workers. I don't know why
Which city workers? I've heard some debate about they don't actually know which city workers.
No, a lot of the city workers out there are saying they haven't benefited from this, but they keep coming back with, it's people in the administrative staff,
Right.
And I mean, these people, I don't know what they get paid.
Yep.
Obviously, it can't be a really good wage if they're struggling to pay for fruit on top of everything. I know that there are a lot of people who can't afford fruit. I've had a couple of people come up to me and be like, I can't even afford fruit. Why am I paying rates so that they can have fruit?
I actually just seen a post about watermelon today, like $4.50 a kilo, and like full watermelon was like 7.5 kilos, and so it was like $40 for a watermelon.
I know.
And a lot of people were just like, I won't be eating watermelon then.
Yeah,
because,
I know.
That's just the reality of the situation, I guess.
Yeah, and why should some city workers get it?
Yeah.
Why can't, road workers get access to the fruit? Why can't sanitation workers get access to the fruit? It should be one of those things where it's either all in or it's not in.
Yeah, if you're going to promote wellness, then it should be an all-round thing, I guess, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. And what about some of the other topics? Like, I know the dredging at Bench Street boat ramp. Have you heard much about that one?
I've heard about it. It's not. I'm going to be honest. It's not something I've kept up a lot with. It was brought up at the last council meeting that the CEO was going to get control to award the tender at a cost of $1 million per year just to dig up sand because of a boat ramp and where it's all starting to reform again.
Yeah.
There were arguments that, there needs to be something done other than just spending $1 million a year getting a bobcat out there or a big digger just to take out all this sand if Mother Nature's going to fill it up again, quoting Ray Cottam again.
Yeah, right, yeah. Seems almost like a bit of a pointless exercise. Let's hope that there is a little bit of method to the madness, I suppose.
Yes and no. I'm a kind of guy that likes looking at the little things.
Yeah.
Especially being a panel beater, you have to have a keen eye for detail.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if you don't, things are going to slip by. And when it comes to this dredging issue, it's a difficult one.
Yeah.
Because there was, from what I've been reading up, there was a fueling depot on the other side of that embankment. I don't know how long ago it was. I'm still reading up on it, still trying to figure it all out. But there was a fueling depot, and for some reason it was shut down, and now crayfish boaters have to go all the way down to Mandurah to refuel their boats.
Oh, right.
So maybe that could be an option. We could see maybe getting maybe an upgraded jetty / fuel depot put there, and maybe shutting that boat ramp down.
Industry back or something? Is that what you mean? Like,
something like that.
Then it justifies the expenditure.
But I mean, don't quote me on it. I've still got a lot of reading up to do on it. And
seems like there's a lot in the fine print with some of these issues that you need to catch up on.
Yeah, well, local council's a different beast to, say, state and federal parliament. They've got different rules. Obviously, according to the Local Government Act of 1995, we serve at the pleasure of the state government.
Right. So, I mean, it is sort of different, I suppose, when people are going for state government, like Magenta Marshall, who just won the recent by-election for the seat of Rockingham. That's sort of a solo gig, but when you're going for council, it's a councillor can't really achieve much by themselves without getting the votes of other councillors, so it's sort of more of a team sport.
No, and the other part about local council that differs from state and federal is when you're trying to run a bill through state or federal parliament and you run with a major party, you've got the support of the major party.
Yeah.
And then what you've got to do is then convince the other parties that it's a good policy, whereas local council, you're restricted by Obviously the mayor and the CEO, as well as the Local Governments Act of 1995, but then you've got to garner support from each individual councillor. So it makes it 10 times harder to get any real good motions going through.
Yeah, right, because if it's one of those things that needs every vote, like unanimously, that can be a little bit tricky sometimes.
Yes, it can. And there was a motion that went through last council meeting that required absolute majority, and it didn't pass through. I'm pretty sure it was Councillor Mark Jones who didn't garner his support. Again, don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are certain motions and policies that have got to have an absolute majority, and if you don't have that, it's just not going through.
Yeah, right. I believe one of those things that's been debated for a very long time is the marina. That sort of seems to be one of the big ticket items and has been for a while.
Yeah, since the 80s, it's been around. It's a big thing, and I'm kind of mixed on it.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, it's because I'm getting a lot of talk about, a lot of people like it, a lot of people dislike it. It's a very, very hard topic to navigate because you obviously want a marina because last thing you want is boats being beached across Rockingham during another winter storm.
Yeah, I've heard them say that. Like every winter we end up with a few boats up on Rockingham beaches and stuff.
Yeah, but then you've got environmental activists saying, it's going to affect sea life. It's going to cause more dredging issues. It's going to cause this. It's going to cause that. And then you've got use of the marina. You need more car parking space. You're obviously going to want to do something like have some more stores around there and all in an area where they're considering even more medium density housing along that foreshore area and high-rise structures like they've already got at the foreshore at the moment.
Right, so I know they are talking about moving it down away from Point Perrin because that's become a reserve, and now the new location is Wanless Street.
Yeah, then this is the final one they're saying. They don't want to move it anymore. Wanless Street, that is it.
That's it.
Take it or leave it.
So based on the information you have, and I'm not saying that you can't change your mind in the future, you might come across more information, but if you had to vote on it now, what would be your stance on the marina?
Yeah, I couldn't give an opinion yet.
Nah. That's all right.
I'm still sitting on the fence with this one.
Still need to do a little bit more research.
But yeah, man, and if anyone is listening, they want to contact me about it, please feel free to do so, because obviously I require the effort of the community to talk to me, to publicly engage with me, so that I can help affect policy if I do make it.
Yeah, the community's got to sort of let you know what they want in a council and what they want you to fight for, I suppose.
Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, I serve them.
Yeah. So I suppose that's more the question is, what do you think based on community feedback at the moment? Should the marina go ahead? But yeah, maybe we'll leave that one for a little bit more research and stuff like that.
It's a bit of a hot potato at the moment.
A little bit of a hot potato. So, yeah. On a bit of a lighter note, when you're not working 50 hours a week, panel beating or getting involved in council, what do you do with your family in Rockingham to just sort of enjoy the community and sort of some of the natural beauty that we have around the place?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been a local here for 30 plus years, so I know the area. I'd like to say I know the area very well, but this council election has shown me that I've still got a few dark pockets I need to explore. Yeah, but I mean, sometimes we'll get out, we'll have a walk down some of the parks and bushed areas that Rockingham has to provide. We just had dinner at the beach a couple nights ago. Fish and chips on the foreshore. Yeah,
beautiful. Can't go wrong.
Nah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a good family night.
Yeah, definitely good family night.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that you've been doing a little bit of work lately on a couple of traffic areas, and one is Councilor Street in Hillman.
Yeah.
You've been advocating for some go-slows?
They're stop aids.
Stop aids.
I actually live on Councilor Street. Most of you will know if you've seen my flyers or been on my Facebook page that I live on a very busy street, and it's considered one of the many streets that are known as rat runs.
Yep.
And I live pretty much dead centre of the street, and I've got cars going past my house doing well and truly above the 50k limit that they're supposed to be doing. So I've presented this to public question time twice now. I did get a response saying they're not considering any form of slow aids at the moment, but I do feel that something needs to be done, and it's not just Coloom Street. There are other streets around Rockingham, Baldivis, Warnbro. We just had that.
Rat runs and stuff.
Yeah, and they're streets that can be considered areas in which speed is likely to be a factor in an incident. Of course,
well, I've seen Coloom Street, your street, it's basically a dead straight quarter-mile stretch.
Yeah, you can see the other end of it from you can see one side from the other.
It almost entices a certain demographic to...
Yeah, and I'm not innocent on the roads. I've had my fair share of run-ins with the law on that regard. So I'm not a saint. I'm not saying I'm a saint, but something does need to be done. You've
learned from that though, and you matured past that, and now you understand that a couple of.
I'd like to say I've learned, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, right, cool. And recently there was one on still on the traffic Lewin Parade.
Yeah, so I had a contact from a resident who lives at that intersection, Lewin Raid and Moresbury Grove. They all received letters from the city as part of the Rockingham Strategic Centre's structure plan, the latest one that come out.
Yep.
They got a letter saying that there was consideration for opening up Lewin Parade. So I was contacted by him for opinion on it. And I decided to get in contact further with the lady, Wendy Best. If you're watching, hi, thank you.
One of the local residents there.
Yeah, well, she lives on the street. Like I said, she's very close to this intersection. She told me that the only reason it was closed back in the early noughties was because people were using it as a rat run. They were speeding. They were going gang, and then. Coloom Street's a very straight street, but if people know Rockingham well, they know Lewin Parade's just this one big bend.
Yeah.
And to have somebody going those sort of speeds across a bend, that is a disaster waiting to happen.
Not being able to see, I suppose, around the corner when they're going at speed. So they installed a gate there and put like a bit of a cul-de-sac and a gate and stopped it halfway through.
They sort of halfway cut it off, and then they put a gate, they said, for emergency services. But apparently there's a firefighter who's down on that street, says all the emergency services know that street is essentially closed. So I put this again to public question time last council meeting, and then they turned around to me and they said that they are in review. Nothing's concrete yet, but the city is recommending a more permanent closure with an upgrade on the footpath, because the footpath, it just leads off to the road and then sort of joins back up on the other side because of that fence. So what they're looking at doing as part of this green link is they're just going to effectively put a nice green strip of grass there, a couple of curbs, and then they're going to run the footpath through there.
Yeah, right. Hopefully they can find a sort of happy medium and stuff, and
I copped a bit of backlash as well because of, from that as well, because there are a couple of people on that street who want it opened up because of the fact that they can only sort of get in. This is people on the west side of Lewin Parade. There's only sort of one way in and out, and that's off of the main road near the Mike Barnett Sport Complex.
Ah, right. Yep.
And they sort of said, we want to open this up because it's another way out. There's no other way out. But I understand why they want another way out, but at the same time, I can see this being
versus risk and stuff, I suppose.
And it's all well and good having another way out, but if that's going to be blocked off by traffic coming from the Mike Barnett Sport Complex or just trying to cut through to get to Reed Street,
Yeah.
It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. And I mean, there are other places that only have one way in and out. The Woodbridge Estate, I lived there for 5 years before I moved into Kaloom Street.
Yeah,
and
right.
that literally only has one way in, one way out.
Across the train tracks there.
And that was actually cut off once when I was living in there. That was a big smash up. It was one of the reasons why they've got the red light camera there now. And it was very early in the morning, and I was on my way to work.
Yep.
And yes, it was 5:30 in the morning, so I managed to get through. But then I get a call from the wife a little bit later saying, I can't get out. I can't take the kids to school. They won't let me out. Yeah, pretty much. So
I'm sure the kids were devastated. They got a day off school.
Oh, yeah, they were devastated.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So it looks like there's a few sort of traffic areas around town that could use a little bit of attention. But
yes.
Being a panel beater, you must have a fond interest in cars. What is your dream car?
Oh, I've actually got a couple of dream cars. I've got what's called the dream car and the attainable dream car.
Right. Yep.
So I'd have to say my dream car. I've got a few dream cars because I am a car nut. By any road. So the attainable dream car is an easy one. That's a Caterham 7. It's this. You can actually buy them as kit cars, and you can you can put whatever motor you want in them as long as it's all engineered and that.
Wow.
And most of those kits go for around $30,000 to $40,000, and then you just got to find a donor car. There's actually a company in South Australia. I'm not sure if they still exist or not, but you could. They would build a Caterham to house the Holden Ecotech motors.
Right.
And even the supercharged editions of them. So, that's one of my little attainable dream cars there.
Sounds like a good little project if you get it as a kit car and then build it yourself.
Yeah, well, I mean, they engineer them for you. They send them over in a kit and you essentially build it, paint it.
Big Meccano set sort of style.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That sounds awesome.
Dream car? There's so many of them. I'm a fan of the Viper. I've always been a fan of the Viper.
Right. Yeah.
But the early 90s one, I mean, I don't mind the look of the new ones, but I like that wild sort of ferocious feel of the original first-gen Vipers. And the best thing about those is they didn't have all the fandangled mechanics. They didn't really have much in the line of ABS or traction control. So these things
all
were an
those
absolute...
safety features that they use these days.
Yeah, so they're essentially a weapon on the road, and if you don't know how to handle one, it'll send you into an embankment real quick.
Yeah, right. Just a lot of power and not much.
Yeah, well, they're V10 motor.
A V10?
Yeah.
That sounds like too many Vs. Far out. And how do you feel about electric cars coming in and Teslas and stuff like that?
Don't like them.
No?
Nah. People say that they're ecologically sound, but as far as running it might be a better alternative to the internal combustion engine. But when you look to the manufacturing aspect of it, you're really comparing apples and oranges.
Yeah.
It's to create a battery, they've got to essentially dig a big hole, extract lithium, and then you've got
cobalt and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the cobalt and all those sort of special minerals. And then they go through the transporting process of it, and then they go into the manufacturing process. It really starts eating up the carbon emissions.
Yeah.
And even then after that, you get, 12 years of use before the battery kicks in, and then a new battery for one of those
e-waste.
Yeah, it's not even that. You can't recycle it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we haven't as a society found a way to recycle lithium batteries properly.
Right. So they're basically just storing them at the moment until hopefully down the track we find a way to...
Yeah, bury them in the sand somewhere. Yeah. I don't know.
We'll deal with that later.
and then to replace one of those batteries, Tesla charge you $13,000, which is essentially a big thing, a big chunk of the value of the car. And by the time that happens, the car's only worth about $25,000, $30,000.
Yeah, it'd be an obsolete brand anyway. It'd be like you're rocking around with an iPhone 6 and everybody's got the iPhone 15 anyway, you know? Who wants to just replace the battery in an iPhone 6?
Yeah, I know. And that's why I like the internal combustion engines. You know, they may not be the cleanest option at the moment, but I think with enough innovation, you can make ICEs very, very clean. Hydrogen technology is one way to go. Obviously, it has been tried with hydrogen fuel cells, and it hasn't worked for a lot of manufacturers. It's found to be not very cost effective. But I think with more research, development, and innovation in that era, I think that hydrogen will be a much better way. And if we can find a way to adapt a hydrogen fuel system towards current ICEs, that may not help the environment, but it's certainly not going to hurt it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I suppose if we can at least start sort of gearing back from how much impact we're having on the environment.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and I've heard with the electric cars that, just having the resources to go to that sort of idealistic world where everybody's got electric cars and stuff, actually mining the resources to do that is not very realistic anyway.
No, it's a severe environmental impact.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go to a quick song, and then we'll come back and chat about a couple of other things. Any song requests?
Got any Metallica?
Definitely.
Your voice, your community station. You are listening to IPL Radio.
All right, and we are back. That was a little bit of Devil's Dance by Metallica from the S&M album, and you're listening to The Late Show with Kit Adams, and I'm chatting with Jason Davies, a candidate in the local government election for the city of Rockingham, vying for a seat as councillor. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good.
We've covered a few issues tonight. There is still a couple local community issues and stuff. There is a wall down in Warnbro that attracts a lot of attention.
I know.
How do you feel about the sort of Great Wall of Warnbro?
I am absolutely ashamed by it. I've just been doing a bit of quick reading on it, and apparently it was voted down in 2020's August meeting to fund the repair of that wall at a cost to the ratepayer of just shy of $57,000 back in 2020.
Right.
And all I'm thinking about is, wow, all the legal... all of the legalities of it, contacting residents and telling them it's now your problem, not ours, threatening to fine them. All of that, probably triple what they would have gotten instead of just paying for the wall to get repaired.
Get fixed,
and then I'm reading that that somebody inspected that wall right around the time it was being built, and that the developers or whoever built the wall didn't follow the building requirements. There's no rebar in it for extra support.
Right.
And yeah, it just sounds like it's been
easier to rip down then.
Well, yeah, but essentially what the council is saying is that it's now a residential fence, and it's the problem of the 11 residents who share that piece of wall.
Right, yeah, because it is a little bit more than just a residential fence. It's not just colour bond.
Yeah, no,
so,
it's something that advertises the area, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. So
and it was a nice wall.
Yeah, back in its day, when it was first built, it holds the emblem. Well, I don't know if it's the actual registered logo for Warnbro, but it's got.
No, it would have been something that developers thought of.
On it, but it's got a nice decorative piece on the end, and a nice, respectable suburban stuff, you know. So, I also hear about other things like a waste-to-energy treatment plant. You know much about this thing that's going on?
What I've been told is that the state government is in with this. They're building 2 waste-to-energy incinerator plants. One just I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere in Kwinana, and then there's another one being built somewhere in East Rockingham, which is going to affect me the most, mainly because there have been projections of the plumage that will come out of the big stacks that they're going to be building, and it's apparently projected to go right over my house. So I'm
that doesn't
not a fan.
sound good. Yeah, from what I've heard, they're basically going to be taking everything that's in your red littered bin and just burning that to turn a steam turbine or something, which then produces energy and, of course, create a lot of emissions. And I wouldn't imagine the emissions that come off general household waste
and I mean,
very friendly.
Yeah, and I mean, in a society that's sort of hell-bent on net zero emissions, I can't see this going in the right direction, if I'm being truly honest.
Yeah.
And not only that, you know, one of the main issues when it comes to waste management is, of course, cross-contamination. I mean, I know I'm one of these people. I mean, I don't care what bin it goes into, as long as it goes into a bin and gets thrown out. I mean, obviously, I do my best to try and stick to the rules and do what I can as far as waste management is concerned, but essentially they talk about rate rises and then they're telling us to sort our own bloody bins out.
Yeah, right. And I've heard about some FOGO waste management that they're looking at bringing in as well.
No, it's coming whether we like it or not. It's part of a state government requirement. So
this isn't even something that local government has any control of. It's basically being tested out on the city of Rockingham based on state government's rulings.
It's not being tested out. It's just being implemented as part of state government policy.
Yep.
So what's happening now, I don't know if anybody knows about this, but this will create a bit of an impact. It's going to cost an extra $1 million or so to bring it in over the course of the next 2 to 4 years, I'm pretty sure is what I read. Right. But essentially what's going to happen is all of your food waste will now go in your green bin. Your green bin will now be emptied weekly, and your red bin, your very, very small red bin, will be emptied fortnightly.
Right.
And then to cap it all off, they're going to give you a nice little waste bin to stick into your kitchen with biodegradable bin bags where you put your food scraps in. Now, this has been implemented in England, and I was talking to my dad about this last night, and he says that those biodegradable bin liners that you're going to be getting with these, apparently these things rot out before you can get them out the door.
Right. Wow. So the bin liners that they're putting aside just deteriorate.
Yes.
And
If you don't use them often, they start to deteriorate and disintegrate.
Wow. So, I mean, I know a lot of elderly people that will only have like a couple of tea bags here and there to put in it and not a huge amount of waste. So I manage that's the people that it's going to affect the most.
Yeah. And a lot of people have been asking about, things like seafood. What we're going to put it in the green bin now? Isn't that going to stink? Especially in a 40-degree day. We're going to have this hanging around for a week.
Yeah.
So I understand what they're trying to do with this. I understand that they're trying to sort of get the food scraps out, especially if they're implementing these incinerators. But for big households like mine, it can present a problem. The council have said that there will be exemptions for big families for medical waste, for things like diapers and stuff like that. And as far as they're concerned, you'll probably only get one extra red bin, which is also probably going to be emptied fortnightly. Again, don't quote me on this, but the simple solution, in my opinion, to this would be to implement the FOGO in its full, but instead switch the lids. So if we're going to be emptying the garden, the green waste bin weekly, we probably only need something a little bit smaller because it's getting emptied more frequently.
Right. Put the red lid on the slightly bigger green lid bin if it's going to be done fortnightly, so at least you're getting that little bit more in. Yeah,
because again, there are people out there who don't care what bin it goes into as long as it goes in the bin.
Yeah.
And, I'm guilty of it myself.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I've got a full household, and sometimes it's a struggle to get everything in the bin each week,
I'm struggling with a little bin now.
Recycling and stuff,
and it's getting emptied weekly. Imagine my luck if it goes fortnightly. I mean, I know that they say, oh, you got to put your food scraps in your green waste now, but it's going to take me a while to get my head around.
Christmas time comes around, you end up with boxes that are sitting there for weeks just waiting for their turn to get them in the recycle bin bit by bit by bit. No,
that bit I'm lucky with. I just load that in the car and stick it in the bin at work because we've got our own cardboard bin for that one.
No, good stuff. And, of course, youth activities around town. Speaking of that, there is bike pump track.
Yes, sorry.
Jump track.
Yeah,
pump track, something being built. It's been put through for the community to share their thoughts on. And for those who are listening, please, if you can, get onto the City Council website and share your thoughts on the pipe pump track. There's 2 locations it's going to be considered for. The first one being the June Road Reserve, just off of June Road in Safety Bay, and the other is the Apex Reserve. I can't remember where that was, but that's a little bit further up in the Safety Bay area as well. It looks like, from the essential plan, it's 2 separate tracks. They haven't really highlighted what the track's going to entail as far as whether it's going to have some like big jumps and that sort of thing. I would be favourable to the bike track having big jumps because I had we had sort of a track like that growing up at the end of my street on Palm Drive before they bulldozed it all out and put an electric station there just on the corner there. Yeah, so there was the local kids. We'd all gather down. We'd have these jumps, and then we'd just go around our bike, on our bikes and just jump these massive jumps. And there was one that would probably start at the roof, and the landing was a little bit bigger. I jumped that a couple of times, ghosted that on more than one occasion. Really?
Yeah, I was big into my bikes back in the day.
Good effort. And has there been much feedback on it so far?
Not too sure. We did have a couple of families and family members come in at the last council meeting talking about the pump track, asking about whether they're going to be getting any involvement with the youth, and they did say that they were going to hold some youth information sessions for it to get a bit of feedback on what they would like to see on the bike track. And essentially that's who it's for. It's for the
get
youth.
Them involved and stuff so they feel like they're a part of it.
Maybe even make a competition out of it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Winner gets, brand new mongoose or something.
Yeah.
Buy a bike from one of the local bike stores, put it up as a first prize set for a
little bit of incentive to get the locals in there.
Get the locals involved in possibly designing a bike track. There have been plans for it. They do have a little bit of a sketch on their Google satellite image. They've got a couple of sketches there of what the track essentially would look like. But I mean, even talking to the youth, they'll say now they want jumps.
Yeah,
they want nice big jumps, and I'm with them on that one. If I'm going to go down on a bike pump, I want to see the biggest jump there and try and get over it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's it. Get the kids involved and give them what they want and give them something to do,
Yeah, so essentially, yeah.
No, good stuff. And with your campaign, have you been getting many interesting questions from interested residents wondering what you're going to do?
I have. I've been getting emails. I have been doing my best to answer them as promptly as possible, but there have been a couple of questions that have thrown me for six. Yep. I've had a couple that have gone as far as to query me on national issues like the voice referendum and the and even abortion laws.
Right. See, these are topics you wouldn't imagine a councillor has anything to do with, but you've got people asking those questions of you.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm
not going to ask you those questions. I don't want you to have your own opinion. We're not here to discuss those bigger topics.
Yeah.
They're for another time somewhere else. But
and if we can keep the questions to just local government, that would be even better.
Yeah.
Because essentially, local council doesn't. they don't have much of an impact on national
big
and
referendums
state.
and stuff like that, and obviously abortion laws. There was one question I've seen about Woomera's nudist beach. How do you feel about
Leave
the
it
status?
there. Just leave it be.
Yeah.
Right? I answered his email tonight. So if he is watching, yes, I have sent you an email. I've actually sent you two because I messed up on the first question he answered me. But essentially, this is like someone moving into a neighbourhood.
Yeah.
They know that there's a bar down the street.
Yeah.
The real estate has told them it gets a bit rowdy at Friday and Saturday nights. But they still decide to buy the house. They move in, they complain, they whinge, and they carry on about the noise, and they essentially call for the bar to be closed down and moved on somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's a real pet peeve of mine. You know there's a nudist beach there. All right? Real estate... They've got to tell you, because it is a selling point for some. It's a point of concern for others.
Yeah,
I like to keep my clothes on.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to discourage anyone who wants to use the new beach.
Different strokes for different folks, I suppose.
And it's been highlighted as a bit of a tourist attraction for some people, and I'm not going to take that away from them.
I'm aware of many of them around. I think there's one up in Swanbourne or something.
No, neither. As far as I know, I thought that was the only one in the state, but...
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, there's probably more than one.
I think they're pretty few and far between and stuff. But have you noticed any other issues and stuff that have been brought up to you, or that you sort of want to dig deep into around town?
More engagement with the councillors, I think, has been another key topic.
Yeah,
obviously things like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram are really good free tools for councillors to...
Is it hard finding time to keep up with all the social media sort of demands these days?
A little bit, yeah.
Do you feel you're expected to maintain a constant presence there?
Whether I'm expected to maintain a constant presence there or not, if I'm running for council, it's pretty much a part of the job.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be a representative of the people for the city of Rockingham, you have a level of expectation to at least answer a few questions. With the social media platform, however, it does come into this very, very big sort of boogeyman-like experience, because you've got a lot of people online who like to troll, who like to hate. There have been a couple of the candidates who have been copping a lot of they've been copping a lot of crap. For being candidates. Mary Toki, of course, being one of them. I've seen Sally Davies has been copping a lot of crap online. Hayley Edwards, she's copped a bit, especially during her by-election run. And it's hard to want to use that platform knowing that you're going to get that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're a public figure, essentially. You've got to learn to take one on the chin every now and then.
You've got to have a thick skin.
You've got to have a very thick skin if you want to be in the public eye. And I'm doing my best to try and keep it positive. I know there's going to be some negative Nancys out there, but if you answer them as politely as you can with a smile on your dial, they either get a little bit more irate, or they just simply move on to their next target.
Yeah, right. And of course, Rockingham being a tourist sort of town, I suppose there is a bit of industry here that relies on tourism. What could you do as a councillor to sort of encourage tourism to Rockingham, or what sort of key aspects of Rockingham would you like to promote to tourists?
Well, I was down the visitors centre. I spoke to this lovely woman, Stacey, about events and tourism in the area. She did wane me onto a festival that I'm not sure whether they've held it or not, but it was about a couple of settlers who broke free from Freo prison and managed to escape aboard a frigate. And the festival's based around that. I'm still trying to read up more on it. But they essentially want to make that more of an annual thing. I think more niche events for Rockingham would be a key mover in bringing more local and international tourism. You know, you got places like Armidale. They've got the Highland Festival coming up very, very soon. And one of my work colleagues is a Scotsman himself, and he says there's a very, very big amount of Scotsmen in Rockingham and Mandurah. So I think something toward those lines. Even a Renaissance fair or a medieval fair would be good, because that's a very popular attraction, especially. And again, Armidale do it, and they've shown for it to be quite a popular
good turnout. I suppose it brings community, and they all engage in something that they like doing together, and it would definitely bring a bit of tourism and also sort of connecting the community as well. So.
And being a councillor, you've got to publicly engage with the people. So, you know, community events like this are key for candidates and councillors to get out there and get talking with the people in the area and find out what their issues are, whether they're doing a good job or not. There's actually an event that my wife is helping plan coming up on the 6th of October for those listening at the Churchill Reserve, where we've got candidates and current councillors coming down. They're going to be there for you, the people, so you can meet them, greet them, say hi, tell them...
Ask the
questions, relate your issues, get a feel for them, because, you know, 1,000 words on a bio and a pretty picture only says so much.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's only so much you can sort of get across there, and only so much the people can get to know about who they're voting for. So it sounds like a great event that you're putting together, and I hope you get a good turnout and stuff. Just quickly before we go, obviously I know it's hard sometimes, but I'm going to ask you to give yourself a bit of a political plug and just let everybody know why they should vote for you.
Well, I've been a local for 30 plus years. I know the place. I'm a keen and avid learner. I'm quick. I'm adaptive. I live in the area. I work in the area. I know so many people in the area. I'm aware of what's going on, and I have the attitude to get it done. No little thing can be overlooked. I'm a man of the little things. I like looking at little things, because the one thing that you want is to fix that little thing before it becomes a big thing. And the only thing I've got left to say is that the road to change starts locally.
Beautiful, mate. Well, you sound like a top bloke. You definitely get my endorsement. Where can people get hold of you? Where's the best place for them to contact you?
So I've got a Facebook page, the Jason Davies for Rockingham Safety Bay Award candidate page. You can reach me through there. My email, jasondaviesforrocco@gmail.com. Sorry, Safety Bay, I didn't think that one through. And I do have a phone number which you can reach me on. Just give me a second. I'll pull it up because I still don't know it. It's a brand new number.
Nobody remembers numbers anyway these days. It's not like the old days.
I remember a few numbers, but this one's obviously
I don't remember
really
any numbers anymore. They just go straight in my phone, and that's
pretty much.
I used to actually remember my friends' numbers.
Let me bring up my... Scroll. So anyone who wishes to contact me personally can contact me on 0413 907 108. If I don't answer back immediately, don't worry, I will get to you. Just give me a bit of time, I'm only human.
Absolutely beautiful. Well, there you have it, everybody. Jason Davies, vote 1 for the award safety, Rockingham Safety Bay Award. Here's your candidate for council, and thank you very much for being on. Now, let's go to a bit more Metallica. What else would we like, mate?
Oh, fuel. Have we got fuel?
Fuel, surely a bit of fuel. That was actually the first single I ever brought. So,
what was my first one? My first one's still actually my first Metallica album, still my favourite, and much to the disgust of many Metallica fans out there, it's actually the Saint Anger album.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I absolutely
controversial.
Yeah, very
You know what else
controversial.
is controversial? I actually don't have Fuel by Metallica in the system.
Oh, no.
So we might just have to go to a classic. We'll go with one live off the SMN and another one off the S&M album. But again, thanks for being with me, Jason.
Pleasure.
Been a pleasure having you on, mate, and I wish you all the best with your campaign.
Thank you very much.
This is a little bit of Metallica, one live off the S&M album.